So many different times in my life, I've played with broken or hurt things, broken foot, broken leg, broken hand, broken arm, broken sternum, broken collarbone. I could keep going if I just thought more about bones. Why, man? Because I loved it. I loved playing the game. I was passionate about it. One of the reasons I even get encouraged at seeing all of you here. Do you know why I get encouraged by that? Is because you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Now we
Dr. Z, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Clay. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing well, and I'm excited to be joined by this Office Depot brand highlighter. They're not a paid sponsor, but I just want to mention I feel really good about this highlighter. But we were talking today specifically about something that I don't think a lot of people like to talk about, because as a small business owner, we take so much pride in our business that we hate to even acknowledge that we've ever had an upset customer. But we were talking today about specifically how to learn from upset customers. And I know that you've never had an upset customer, and I know the people watching have never had an upset customer, but for other people, we're going to be talking about this. And so, real quick, just so that people get a little bit of idea as to your street cred and why you know this subject so well, how many different businesses do you actively operate right now?
5 that I've started from ground zero, and the oldest one that I've had is my optometry business. I have 2 offices here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they've been since 1991. I've been in business with those, and since then I've added a diagnostic sleep center, a DME, a durable medical equipment company, an auto auction, of which we are sitting in the sales barn currently, yes, and also a successful thoroughbred breeding and racing ranch.
And just so people kind of get an idea for your early years a little bit, I mean, you started from scratch. We're talking about you grew up in a family where nobody was wealthy. I mean, you and your wife started this together, and you've grown it.
Absolutely. There were 7 kids, and I started working when I was 13 because kind of had to. And, it's a great story, and one that, that's why I love this country so much. I mean, the opportunity that's given us, and if you get out there and work hard and you show a little bit of cleverness, you can make a lot of things happen.
Have you, in the history of your companies as you were growing, if you think back in the day when you started your first business, the optometry clinic, have you ever irritated even one customer?
Oh yes, all the time. I mean, I think the true measure of a business is how you deal with that situation. In other words, whatever business you're in, things go great that day. The bread's made perfect. The pizza's on time. Everything goes great, and everybody's happy. And at the end of the day, you're like, "What a wonderful day! We had record sales. Everybody was happy. Lock up the door." That's not the measure of the business. The measure of the business is when something goes wrong and how they handle it. Because when things are going great, that's easy.
Okay.
When things aren't going great, that's when you got to step up and really manage.
I'm going to let you talk specifically to a thriver in our audience amongst us here, okay? I won't use their name, but this is somebody I just talked to on the phone this week.
Okay.
And she says, I own 2 shops.
All right.
And as I'm growing, I'm having a real hard time because I'm getting some complaints. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, I'm getting like probably 2 people a week. Now, they do hundreds of transactions, but I'm not there, and I feel like no one can ever do it as good as I can. And I'm getting 2 complaints a week, and she's getting emotional. She's starting to get emotional about these complaints. And I said, we're going to record something for you. And I just gave her the little tip of, hey, you can learn from upset customers. You know, ask them what happened and how you can make it better, and let's fix the system. But what would you say to somebody who's struggling right now? They've grown the business where they used to see every customer individually. And now in this lady's case, now she has two locations, and she's dealing with some complaints. How would you tell her to emotionally handle that?
Be happy. It's the patient that's upset that you don't know about is the one that costs you potential business and potential growth from your business. So when someone takes their valuable time and lets you know that they're not happy with something that happened at your business, embrace it. Be happy about it. Don't be happy it happened, but embrace that person and say, listen, I want to thank you for taking your time to call me or to contact me and let me know that something upset you with the transaction or the business. Number 2, you have to then try to take your emotion out of it. Try not to get emotional about it. Try not to be upset that something didn't go right. That's for another day. Let's focus on this individual. Be honest and open with them. Own the problem. I think that's one of the things that happens a lot of times is that they don't own the problem.
Own the problem.
You've got to own the problem. The buck stops with you. If you're the owner, the buck stops with you, and you have to own it. And you have to take responsibility for what one of your employees did, and you have to look at that person in the eye or over the phone, and you have to honestly say, I am so sorry. You know, I did not intend for that to happen, and I apologize from the bottom of my heart. Take that, get their raw emotion out of it too. Own it, apologize for it, and then work on the healing and what you can do to fix the problem.
Bill Gates was famous for saying, your most unhappy customers are the greatest source of learning.
Wow.
And like what you said,
there it is. Yeah.
And I think it really hammers home what you said there. And it seems to me that a lot of the successful, I say a lot, every successful entrepreneur I've met says, well, you need to learn a lot from your failures. I mean, learning, the cruelest and most effective teacher is failure. They always talk about you need to fail forward and you need to learn from your mistakes. And I think sometimes that's easy to read in a book or easy to hear, but then when you're in that situation and you're dealing with that criticism, it can be tough.
It can be.
So if I'm watching this and I'm somebody, let's say I own a fast food restaurant or something, and I have a complaint right now. So let's say I'm at the window right now, okay? And somebody goes through the window, the drive-through window, they get their order on, they go, that's it. I'm going back. They drive back to the store, they get out of their car, they walk in, and now I'm the customer, I'm talking to you, and you're the manager, and I say, hey, I ordered a burrito, and I definitely have 2 tacos, and every time I come here, I get an order wrong. What's wrong with you people? How do you handle that sort of thing?
First of all, when you have a patient that's what I call hot, I mean, their emotions and they're hot, and they're in public space, you want to get them into a private area. You want to try to get them out of the flow of everybody. Because that toxic, you try to get them away from the other customers and get them into a safe spot, as I call it. And then at that point, you want to listen to them. Very important to let them talk. Because if you try to interrupt them, if you try to guess what they're going to say, if you try to not let them get it out, they're going to get it out sooner or later. Okay. And you want them to get it out in your safe place with you. Let them say their piece.
Have you ever made the mistake of arguing with a customer before you knew this? Have you ever done that before?
That's how I learned to do this, yes.
Okay.
That's unhealthy.
I'm just asking because I know somebody watching this is going, yeah, but, and you're saying never but, just listen to them.
Amen. That's what you do. You listen to them, you let them say what it is they're going to say. You're already probably thinking about ways to fix it. You're 2 steps ahead of them. It's maybe not the first time you've heard it, but you have to calm down and you have to let them talk.
Are they going to curse at you sometimes?
Sometimes.
Are they going to raise their voice?
Yes.
Are they going to freak out sometimes, be red-faced?
Absolutely.
I want to ask if you agree with this, because this is a little trick that I've taught my staff. the guy who started, Mr. Novak, who was the CEO of Yum Brands.
Okay.
He has this system called Blast, where he says, believe the person who's yelling at you.
Yes.
Listen to what they're saying.
Yes.
Try to answer their questions.
Yes.
And then move to satisfy and to build that trust. Do
Boy,
you agree with that Blast?
That's a great acronym, and I'm going to grab a hold of that, but that's exactly what you do. You have to believe them. If they tell you that your receptionist is mean, you think your receptionist will ever say, "Oh yes, I'm mean"?
Oh yeah.
No.
I hate people.
You have to believe what they're saying. You have to believe, and you do that by the listening.
Okay.
And then I love that. Yeah, blast it out, baby.
Now here we go. Now when it comes time to answer, so I've just finished. So you said, what's wrong? And I said, I'll tell you what's wrong. I ordered 2 soft tacos. I got the burrito. I drove about a half a mile down. I am just, I'm going to be late for work and all that. Now, how do you move into that phase where you how do you transition after I finish yelling? How do you then move into that phase where you kind of answer and you move to satisfy and build that trust? What do you do?
Well, I think the answer is that you own it, as I was saying earlier.
Okay.
You own it. You apologize for it. You explain to them that that's not your goal here. Is to, number one, upset them. Number two, to give them the wrong food. It's kind of like, okay, hey, there's the third car coming to pick up. Yeah, I'll screw up their order. Your staff is not about that. You didn't wake up that morning and go, okay, the 100th person through my drive-through, I'm going to totally mess with today. Yeah. So you own it.
Okay.
And you apologize for it. Now, the thing that I think is so powerful at that point, a lot of times you just be amazed at how much that diffuses people to go, oh yeah, okay, thanks, that's what I wanted. Then I think one of the most powerful things you can say out there, business owners, is this. You can look at them and ask them, what can I do to make it better? You don't assume you know. You don't assume, oh, well, here's a bucket of 10 burritos. You don't assume you get a free burrito of the day for the rest of your life. You ask them, what can I do to make it better?
To the Thriver watching this going, yeah, but if you ask them that, they're going to say, give me a lifetime free pass to Burrito World. What do you say?
They might, and then what you do is you laugh and you say, well, that's probably not reasonable. That's probably a little excessive for what's happened here.
Okay.
And you'll be surprised, maybe 1 out of 1,000 will say something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Most of them will be reasonable. Most of them will actually say something less than what you would even offer them. That's the key. Because, a lot of them may say, oh, I just wanted you to hear and just give me that burrito and thanks, man. Yeah. And that's what they wanted.
Now the reason why I'm hammering home on each one of these points is because this happens every day across America.
Yes.
We have thousands of people, just in Tulsa every day buying things at any given time, and they have mistakes and things that happen, and there's a lot of business owners doing wrong things. And so what I wanted to do is take just a moment to list an example of things I've done wrong, and I thought maybe you could then hammer home on why that was wrong and what I should have done, okay?
Okay.
So I had the customer who called me and said, your disc jockey ruined my daughter's wedding. And I looked at I said, well, let me pull up your file real quick. I want to find out what's going on. So I thought, I did that, okay. I pull up their file and I look and I saw the customer service notes. Person refused payment for deposit. Person was late for this. So I realized that this person has had some issues, like a lot of issues. And there's more things in the file that were written, and so I came back and I was like, well, I know you think that we ruined their wedding, but really what we did was, and I started kind of doing the arguing thing. I got myself in a little lawsuit, little letter, saying I ruined their reception sort of thing. Why is it wrong to argue with the customer and explain to them how you're right? Because I knew they were, and even to this day, I know they were wrong, but now looking back at it, I go, you know what, I was wrong for saying that, but why?
It's so tempting. It's so tempting to try to prove to them that you're right and they're wrong, but ultimately that gets you what the little boy shot at, nothing. If you want to build, everything you're doing to build your business. You're not doing this to out-debate some random person that you met on the street. You're not doing this to do that. You're doing it to build your business, and the way you build your business is you own that mistake. Is you say, I am so sorry we ruined your daughter's wedding.
Even if the person's wrong?
Even if the person's wrong to some degree. Now, there is a limit. I mean,
Okay.
there's no absolutes in life.
Yeah, I'm trying to just get a good feel here.
There's no absolutes in life. But if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I did what I did to build my business, and that was the right thing to do, then you can sleep at night.
Okay.
If you say, I did that because I wanted to prove that I was right and they were wrong. I did that because they were mean, they didn't pay their bills, on and on and on. If you're doing anything other than trying to build your business, then you're doing it out of the wrong spirit.
Another thing I did a lot in my first 4 or 5 years of business is I liked to explain to the customer in elaborate detail exactly what the cause of the issue was, and at no point letting them talk.
Yeah, that's the listen. Yeah, boom, two big bad mistakes right there. You know, they're the ones with the issue. They're the one that needs to speak. They're the ones that need to get it off their chest. And if you don't allow that, then you are going nowhere fast.
Okay. Final example of something that I should not have done, but I did. I did it routinely when I started too, was the one where I would avoid them entirely.
Oh yeah, that's it. How'd that work out for you?
You just say call and you're not available.
Sure.
You know, because I'm a wuss. And it was like a year into my business, and they're like, yeah, I want to tell them I'm out forever. You know what I mean? Because I want to avoid that, you know? So can't do that either?
Can't do that either. That doesn't build a business either. You have to address those things, learn from those things. We talked earlier in some other segments about mystery shopping. Those are mystery shoppers in some regard. I mean, they used your business and they had an experience and they are calling you to discuss that experience. Now, the smart guy takes that information and turns that frown into a smile, turns it upside down. And they gather up that person and they rebuild that trust again and they make them happy. They take those lemons and they make that lemonade and they move on in life. And now you have, because one person that's unhappy with the business will tell X, 10. A person that's happy will tell 2.
No.
So do what you need to do to get that person happy to help you build your business.
True story. In your business, I know of hundreds of people who've bought glasses from your business.
Okay.
And very happy people. And I know of one particular situation where I knew of somebody who had a frustration at the optometry clinic. And you guys not only apologized, but I believe you gave the person a substantial discount off of their frames or something. But this person is now a fan. And I saw it happen because the person was like, because I remember I had met with you for lunch and I had mentioned in passing, I said, I had a great lunch with Dr. Zellner. He's been an awesome mentor, awesome, just learned some great things. And they're like, yeah, I bought some frames over there and I had an issue. And I said, well, call up there. And they were amazed by how it was handled. And I think we have to, you said, going back to the beginning, be thankful when they do complain.
Because you have an opportunity to fix it. You have that opportunity to take that person and wow them. And that's what it's about, because when you wow them, now you have your little army of people out there singing your praises. And then it just becomes this wonderful thing called business doing that.
Yeah, the old hockey stick growth. Now, Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE, has repeatedly said, face reality as it is, not as it was or as you wish it to be. How important is it in your mind for entrepreneurs to know about the complaints that their customers are saying?
I think it's everything. I think that's how you make your business better. That's how you tweak it, And one thing about, customers coming in and customers complaining, I'm not sure this is the exact place we want to put this in Thrive, but it came across my head, so I said I better say it, and that is how, a lot of it is how we treat the initial person that comes in. In other words, when you go to work, you may have 100 customers that day, and you may have one that you think is going to come in and try to cheat you.
Okay.
May try to steal something, may try to beat you out of something, may be just a bad apple. And so what you do is you put all these systems in play, so you treat everybody as if they're that one person.
Okay.
All right? And I have found that generates more of the complaints, more of the issues, more of the, you've got to trust those patients. And I tell my employees all the time, listen, don't treat everybody as if they're the one. Let's treat them as if they're the 99, okay? That one, may get us every now and then. You may have that person that's complaining. It's only complaining because they want to get a discount on their frame. They may want to get a discount on this. They may want to get a free chicken sandwich or whatever it is they want from you, okay? Yeah. But you know what? If you treat everybody as if they're going to be that one, the 99 will be very dissatisfied.
Love that. So treat everybody as if they're the 99.
Correct.
Have you ever had a customer that you can think of, not asking for their name, but a customer you've thought of, who you've worked with that you've upset, or they gave you some feedback that was pretty harsh, but it dramatically helped you improve your business?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that some people unfortunately have to get really emotional and really upset to do a call to action. You know, some people, if they're just like, oh, that's just an annoyance, or it could have been better, those people typically don't call you, or they don't email you. It's the ones that have that horrible experience for the most part, and then they get so emotional about it, they get so worked up, and they've told 2 or 3 people they know, and those two or three people have fired them up to go, that was so wrong, and then they call you, and they are just ready for a fight, and they are expecting a fight. And so whenever you don't argue with them, whenever you don't fight with them and you diffuse them, you can then glean quite a bit from those people. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you'd be amazed at how much of it's due to this deal of, okay, when you communicate with somebody, how much of what you're saying is the actual words out of your mouth? Not much. 20% studies show, 80% of communication is body language, is the tone, the way you're saying it. And so this whole idea that people come through your businesses and feel that people are treating them a certain way, they're right. You got to believe them. And so I think that's the thing that I have probably done the most is sorting out those good employees versus bad employees.
Ooh.
Sorting out the employees with the right attitude and the wrong attitudes. Because here's the deal, you've got to believe you've got to believe your customers.
Over the staffer who says, well, everyone's crazy.
Yeah, and they're going to say, oh, I was mean to that person. They're going to tell you exactly what they said, and the words themselves were not mean. It's the way they said it. It's the fact they didn't look up at them. It's the fact that they didn't acknowledge them. It's the fact that they, after they, were asked to do something. It's all those things. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. People change seldom. So you need to get friendly, good attitude people, and your customers can help you sort through them.
People change seldom.
People change seldom. Quote me for that.
I think it's huge because I know in your business, I'm gonna say this, and I hope somebody watching this is hearing me. I hope it helps you. I hope it blesses you. I hope it kind of slightly offends you enough to make a change here. But there's somebody watching this. In particular, there's a guy that I met about 2 years ago at an event, and he says, it's been hard to find good staff. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I hired a lady. She is not working out. She is not, like, how long has she been there? Well, I've given her about 6 months to see if she's a good fit. 6 months, he says, for this one person. It's a small business of 4 employees.
Yeah.
Then well, how long did the person before? How long did you keep the person before? Well, it was about four months before I figured out if they were a good. And if you're in a small business and you know somebody's not a good fit, you need to tell them. Yep. You need to inform them, give an opportunity to change, but you have to move quickly.
Yes.
Don't you?
Absolutely. I've said it before. I mean, you want to leave people better off than when you found them in life, going through life. You leave a trail of experiences but on the other side is that you're not, unless your business is life coaching, you're not a life coach. You're there to run your business and to find people that are going to do the job and do it the way you want them to do it. And that's it. And so it's not being mean. If it's not a good fit, guess what? It ain't gonna change. So you need to do what you need to do, and you need to get somebody in there, be aggressive, get somebody in there, and then mystery shop them, get them tested, have people come in and experience them. And if they're good, they're good. Now, some days, we can all have a little off day, and some days you need a little tweaking, and some days you need a little raw encouragement. For the most part, people change seldom. So
let's go ahead and role play an example here. So let's say that I am a customer, I bought something, I'm a business, I bought a car from your auto auction.
Okay.
And I drive home and the axle breaks.
Okay.
That probably wouldn't happen, but let's just say it did.
Okay.
Some weird scenario. The AC goes out while I'm driving home, and I'm like, what's going on? If I come into your business and I complain, walk me through how you handle that process from start to end. I just want to hear how you do it here if somebody has a complaint.
Well, if they have a complaint, you listen to it. You believe them.
Okay.
You listen to them. And then you ask them, well, what would you like for me to do about it?
Okay.
And a lot of times they'll say, well, I need you to do, I want you to do X, Y, Z. And if it's within your realm of possibilities, you do X, Y, Z, and you keep them gathered up. So let's say, for example, they it's probably not the best example for a number of reasons, but let's go with it.
Okay.
They buy a car through here. I didn't own the car, somebody else owned the car. So now I have two people in the transaction. I have the buyer and the seller. So let's say then when it's all said and done, the seller is happy because he sold his car and got his money. And the buyer is like, I'm not happy. I bought a bad car. So now help me. All right. So now I have to go back over here to the seller and say, listen, Billy Bob over here bought this car, and I have to try to convince him that it's in his best interest for us to unwind the deal and for him now to be the one that he could say, listen, he bought it fair and square. Those are the rules. Have a nice day. And this guy over here could say, well, I'll never be back, or I'll never buy from him. So I try to encourage him that it's in his best interest to keep this guy as a potential buyer of his cars at my auction to go ahead and do the right thing by him. So sometimes you're the kind of referee in this instance.
Okay.
But I would advise him to unwind the deal, to take the car back, to fix it on his own nickel, to try to do what he needs to do with the car, make this guy over here happy so he keeps coming back to my auction. And then he potentially keeps buying cars from this. So now his integrity level goes up.
And the things that you learned from this, let's say that let's say that it was a customer service issue. They love the car. The car is great, but somebody who works in your staff upset them or something. Once you've learned whatever you need to learn from that, so once you've learned like, okay, maybe I shouldn't buy cars from that source, or maybe this front desk person has an issue. How quickly do you take what you've learned and share it with the team and move on? I mean, how quickly do you try to?
Immediately. I mean, I try to go to that person's supervisor and talk to them.
Okay.
Being the owner, I have a chain of command, and so as I learn things, I try to use that chain of command to try to fix those things.
Love that.
So the first person I would go to is my general manager and say, hey, listen, boom, here's what I heard, fix it. And and I always tell my managers, if you can't fix it, I'll fix it. You don't want me to fix it, you better fix it. And so then they are empowered now. They've heard what's happened, and then they go down through their chain of command and they fix the situation.
So if you have an issue, I want to make sure you're getting this. If you have an issue with customer service, you don't go to the actual person working in customer service. You go to their manager.
Absolutely.
But when you started your optometry clinic and it was just you and your wife and then like a dude, you would talk to the dude directly.
Yes.
But as soon as you got big enough to hire a manager, now you created that channel or that pathway where you just go to their manager.
If you're going to have a manager, you got to use them. And if you don't use them, what you've really said to them is that I don't value what you're doing in my operation, and you emasculate them in the sense that you're saying, listen, I don't really need you. And that's not the right message to say. If you're gonna feel like you need a manager, then use the manager and use them properly.
Okay.
And they're not gonna always do things perfect, I should say, but it's a learning. Here again, it's a learning curve for them too.
Now, I owned up to some of my weird customer service habits early on. And what we're going to do now is we're going to dive into the 3 destructive beliefs that a lot of entrepreneurs have. Not Thrivers. I'm sure it's just the friends of the people who are subscribing to Thrive. But the 3 destructive beliefs that a lot of entrepreneurs have. And I want to get your take on how we should deal with this, okay?
Okay.
So one is the blame and justify move. The blame and justify move. Where basically the owner tries to spend their time explaining to the customer why the problem occurred rather than for asking what they could do better in the future, or what might have caused the problem. Do you see this a lot in the business world? Do you see examples when you take your wife out to eat, or when you have buddies that you talk to about their business, or you see young men or people who are asking you for help? Do you see this blame and justify thing going on a lot, where you blame the customer?
Yeah, absolutely. When it's somebody I know is doing it, I just reach up and slap them across the face in a kind, loving, gentle way. Say, stop that.
I still have the marks.
Stop the madness. Stop the madness. That's not how you build your business. And just like we said just a little bit ago, you have to believe them, listen to them, and then you have to answer, and you have to move forward with it. I mean, sitting there, worrying about the birthing pains. Let's focus on the baby. Let's focus on what we need to do to make it better. Let's not look behind us. Let's look forward.
I love it. So you're saying focus on the baby, not the birthing pains. That's phenomenal. So if you have an issue in your business right now, focus on the end result you're going for, or focus on the solution. Don't sit there and talk about, oh my gosh, I can't believe how upset she was, and don't make it dramatic.
Right, exactly. And I think that you get that with that mindset of, as you're dealing with that person or you're dealing with that situation, You've got to deal with, let's not worry about what's happened. Let's worry about how we fix it, move forward. And as long as you got quit looking behind you, just look forward, You can then go back and maybe reassess that and maybe then reevaluate some things later on to fix some inner workings you may have in your own business. But in that situation, the heat of the moment, because it's usually heated for the most part. There's usually some emotion in there. You have to diffuse it by owning it, apologizing for it, and then taking constructive steps to go forward.
For the entrepreneur watching this who says, I'm just emotional. When people complain, it hurts my soul. They say it sometimes. I hear it. What do you say to that person on the other side of the camera right now who's saying that they're watching this and they're going, but he doesn't understand, I'm just emotional.
Come here a little closer. Get over it. Stop it. Take a deep breath. Act like you're somebody else. Go to your happy spot. Do what you need to do, but get that out of there, because if you're dealing with emotion, you can't think straight, and thinking straight is how you figure out a way to make this person happy, to fix the problem, and to move forward and to build your business. And that's what's important. Understand that is the goal. That's the goal.
Hammering home what you just said, just because I know of your success, and a lot of people do, but nationwide, maybe someone's not as familiar with you. So I'm going to read a quote that really supports your thought on this here.
Great.
Howard Schultz, the founder of
I love all
Starbucks,
your quotes, by the way.
He says, "In life, you can blame a lot of people, and you can wallow in self-pity,
Yep.
or you can pick yourself up and say, listen, I have to be responsible for myself." And I love it. I love it because Howard Schultz says it, Dr. Zellner says it. When you see these successful people, you don't just luck your way into success. It's a certain mindset you have.
Right.
And so now we're looking at the second destructive habit that's absolutely wreaking chaos in businesses all across the country. We're talking about a recession that might be a problem, or we're talking about, no, these sorts of things are killing businesses. And here we go. One is the duck and cover because I'm unavailable move. This is I was telling you about a little bit, where you duck and cover, you say, hey, tell them I'm not available. And so it's a deal where we never really deal with the customer who's complaining. So if I'm watching this right now and I've been a duck and cover move kind of person, what advice would you give to me? I'm on the other side of this camera and I'm a duck and cover person. I'm saying, boss, hey, somebody complained. I'm not available forever, and I'm going to leave. And so my frontline people are dealing with the complaints, but the owner, there's no one there to accept the blame and to own it.
Well, I reach up again and say, stop it. I mean, you've got to address it. It is your opportunity to shine. It's your chance that you can show your employees how to take a difficult situation and turn it around. It's your time to be a leader, and leaders don't duck and cover. I mean, the leader's the one out there, in charge, the front line charging. You've got to show everybody how to deal with the situation, because they're watching. So it's not so much even for your business, it's for your employees, and even for yourself. You have to address it. And just putting it off sometimes just makes it worse. Now all of a sudden they call some local news station. Now all of a sudden they're online with the blog and they've got 100 million followers following your inability to deal with the issue. Trust me, if they're motivated, you're going to deal with it sooner or later. And the longer you wait, just the more difficult it's going to be.
I want to give you an illustration of an unnamed airline that I am very familiar with. I was flying into New York, and I saw a bunch of military men who didn't have their bags. These guys looked like they'd been sleeping at the airport for 2 days. That's the only reason I knew there was something wrong, because they're sitting there just looking like they'd been sleeping in their fatigues for 2 days at the airport. And I was like, guys, what's going on? And they said, some jackass lost our luggage. And I said, so you're going to really? So I went into the customer service. They lost my luggage too. So I go into the customer service area to talk to the person at this unnamed airline. And she says, sir, nothing I can do about it. It will not make eye contact. Nothing I can do about it. And I said, well, what about for these military guys? These guys had just came back from the Middle East with their stuff. It's gone. She's like, well, I told them I had nothing I can do about it. And just that attitude, the way they said it, even if there was nothing she could do about it, it made me just want to. And then the manager wasn't available. And it was just this escalation. And I noticed that people were getting so frustrated for them. But if they would have just said, you know what, guys, we are so sorry about this situation. And, we want to tell us what happened. Listen, if they would have believed them, listened and answered, and then said, hey, let's give you free tickets to here, or let's try to get you a hotel room or anything.
Sure.
But just being unavailable and not answering and not caring.
And no eye contact.
None at all.
That'll make you crazy. Yeah.
I did things I'm not going to talk about on this camera. I was
trying to get eye contact.
Well, I was getting a little crazy. So that was my wife will tell you that story. So moving on to the third destructive habit. This is the final one of this triumvirate of things not to do, but we see it all over in business today. The I'm smarter than all the customers, so I don't care what anybody thinks.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I see this a lot at big box stores. There's a lot of big box stores that do it right, too. Mm-hmm. But I'll give you an example. One of the big box stores I can think of, I go in there, I'm asking for a certain computer part, and the guy just is like, it's over there.
Yeah.
Okay, I went over there. I've looked over there. I need someone to go over there with me because I might just be ignorant. I might have missed it, but could you help me? It's over there.
Yeah.
Just that whole attitude. So what would you say to someone right now who's watching this, who thinks they are sincerely smarter than every customer they've ever had, and they are just not available to think or to understand what to understand the customer's mindset?
Well, you know, I think that, first of all, it's very destructive. It's very demeaning, and nobody likes to be treated like that. And if you're a person if you own a business and some of your employees are doing that, you need to swoop down on them and give them an earful. That's one of those things why you have the mystery shoppers. That's one of the things why you're always testing your employees on how they're dealing with people. But for someone to sit there and have that mindset of I'm smarter than all these people and therefore they should be glad that I allow them in my place of business to do business with me, to give me their money so I can give them a little something of what they want, you know, well, I tell you what, it's hard to build a business that way. You know, we've all been in that situation. We've all been in a business that treats you that way. And how many times you go back to it? You know, there's choices. You know, the nice thing about that is that if you're not getting what you want over here in the way you want it, you'll go somewhere else. And that's the way life is. So if your business isn't growing, if you're not getting the results that you think you should be getting, if you're getting a lot of foot traffic and not a lot of sales, I mean, this could be the very reason why that's happening. I mean, that is a bad employee, and unless you can get them fixed, you need to replace them quickly. You need to let them know, first of all, what's expected of them and how to treat that. But this idea that you at all think that you're smarter than your customers, you may say, listen, I think it, but I'm not going to say that. But if you're thinking it, then your actions and your body language even suggest that. So get that out of your mind. Try to erase that if you can. And say to yourself, I really want to be a servant. I really want to serve the people that are walking in there. And if you do it, your employees see you do it. And if you're doing it as a team, people will feel that. And they'll say, hey, listen, I want to go someplace where I'm being served.
Now, we're going to get into the action items here, the things that everyone can do who's watching this. And Jim Rohn, he's a best-selling success author who I just love because every time I read his material, it kind of was poetic in the way he writes, but he also gets down to that brass tacks. And he says this, he says, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I had read that, I knew that I needed to start doing these things. Mm-hmm. I'd been told from a few mentors, I'm about 3-4 years into business, and they're saying, look, you're quick-witted, you have a little bit of an axe to grind with the world, you grew up without a lot of money, I get it, that's your story, get off it.
Yeah.
But now, when people are upset, you don't need to see who can get the last word or who can say the little gotcha quote. You need to start listening to the customers.
Yes.
Solve it. So if I am watching this and I have been struggling with that discipline, just the discipline, because you have to be kind of crazy to start a business.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do. To start one, you have to be a little crazy. You have to be a little bit intense, which a lot of entrepreneurs, we tend to be non-permit pulling kind of people. We just do things, So how did you specifically in your career get yourself to the point where, because I know at first you had to want to tell off customers, and you might have even done it. Did you ever tell a customer off even one time?
I'm trying to think back, and I'm
school.
I'm sure I did, but you learn from it pretty quickly that's a very unproductive way to go about the day, and it leaves up just this horrible, bitter hill in you that you just, it's crazy. I mean, you see 100 patients a day, and 99 of them are awesome, and you have that one bad one. You go home and you don't sleep because of the one bad one, and that's the way life is that you have that one negative experience, and if you're not careful, it can ruin your day.
And I'm not going to ask you the number because I think that's kind of a private subject. With all the businesses you probably have a complaint on a fairly regular basis, because on a weekly basis, I mean, how many frames or how many customers do you see at the optometry place?
Quite a few. I mean, and when you put all of it together, you know, when I've got a couple hundred employees under me, and that many, and then we're all busy. I mean, you're going to get some complaints.
I bet
Just
you
the way
see
life
that.
is.
I bet you with your businesses though, you probably see thousands of people a day between all of them together.
Oh yeah.
And with that, there's got to be, even if you're having I'm just making up a number, but even if you had like 1/10 of 1%, that would be like a complaint a day. You know, under that scenario, you can't get bitter, you can't get emotional.
Yeah.
Do you just, when you have a complaint, you want to deal with it right away and then just move on? Is that how you deal with it? I mean,
I do. I mean, I think that there's a sense of urgency in making sure that you take that. And you asked earlier, though, how, what were some of the steps that I would give someone to do that?
Yeah.
And really, you practice, role play. Have one of your friends, have one of your employees come at you like they're upset. It sounds kind of silly, but it really helps. It really helps in your vernacular. It helps in you listening. It helps in you, the believing side of it. Because I tell you what, if you're sitting there listening to someone, they're telling you a story, and you're over here texting, and you're over here doing whatever, and you're like, rolling your eyes like, yeah, whatever. I was listening. No, you weren't.
yeah.
Put away all your distractions, and practice on really listening. Have someone come in and role play that out. I think role playing in a business is so important. So what does that look like? That looks like, okay, hey, I'm having a hard time dealing with complaints. So Clay, I want you to come at me as if you're an upset patient, and let me say how I do, okay? And let me try to handle you. Okay, ready? Go. And then we actually do it.
I was getting emotional. I was getting ready.
I know. You're about ready to fire up on me. And I would have to take a deep breath, and believe you, listen to you, and fix the problem.
Now, the final thing I want to ask you, and then to wrap up this segment on how to learn from these customers that are upset, learning from complaints, is just kind of walk me through, no matter what business I have, if I own a Dairy Queen, or if I own a furniture store, or I own a software company, if I get a complaint, your step one is?
Believe it.
Believe it. Okay. Step two, what do you want to do?
I want to listen.
Okay. Step three, what do you feel like I should do?
Well, I want to figure out what I need to do to fix the problem.
Okay.
Because if I believe them, then there's a problem.
Okay. Next step, what do you want to do?
Well, I want to satisfy that customer. I want to satisfy myself that the problem's fixed. And then you got to build that trust on not only with the customer, but maybe even an employee, or maybe it's something physical, or maybe it has something to do with the physical aspect of your
business?
Your business, yeah. For example, I had one of my businesses. I had one of those things that stop tires when a car pulls in.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the metal pins that you drive into it to hold it in place, it actually kind of come up a little bit. So a person pulls in, drives in on it, and they back out and it catches their bumper.
Rips the bumper off.
Yeah, rips the bumper partly off, and they are upset about it. So they fire up and come in there and get me because I ruined their car. And so they come at you, and you're so you believe them, and you think, well, which one? Where is it? Because I need to fix this, right? So you're listening to them. They're going on and on and on and on. So you walk outside, and they show you physically where it is, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to fix that, And then you kind of look at their car a little bit, and you're kind of going, I'm not sure I believe them completely, But you gotta stay focused on it.
Okay.
And then I said, listen, let me, here's your name, number, I'm on it, let me figure out how I'm gonna fix it, but I'm on this, okay? Have a nice day, you can drive your car still, everything's safe. So then I called my attorney and said, hey, listen, what are my liabilities here? Well, you're liable for it if it happened on your facility. I called a buddy of mine that owned a automotive repair place. I said, listen, do me a favor, I'm sending this person, give me a good deal on it, but I need to fix their bumper, okay? So I call back the person, they go in, they get it fixed. Of course, while they're there, then they go on to say that the battery was broken because all these other things that were broken because of it. They wanted more than what was reasonable. And so I reasoned with them, I said, listen, we did the bumper, your bumper pulled off, we fixed your bumper, all these other things on your cars, they're verified from my mechanic, that did not happen because of my parking lot. So that's what's reasonable. Okay, reasonable, boom, took care of it.
This is the stuff that happens in American business every day. This is the stuff we need to know. This is what happens every day. We need to know how to deal with it. And I want to tell you, I appreciate you for taking the time to share this stuff with me, because I know that you could not have built the businesses that you've built. And I know firsthand that you have not built the businesses that you have today by treating people poorly when you make mistakes. Right. But I can also say you didn't build a great business or a great kind of an empire of businesses by never making mistakes.
Right.
You've made mistakes, but you've always fixed them and owned them and improved. And I appreciate you sharing the proper way to learn from customer complaints.
Well, I learned it the old-fashioned way, trial and error. And I promise you catch more flies with honey, and the nicer you are to people, and the calmer you are, and the more you listen, and the more you believe them, and then the more you ask them with true meaning in your heart, what can I do to fix it? And within reason, of course, everything's within reason, but within reason, you make them happy, you fix it, and then you build them back up, and guess what? Now you have a patient for life. Some of my most loyal patients are the ones that we screwed up when they came in the office. And it's that opportunity to fix it and make it right.
I have one complaint I wanted to read on camera.
Okay.
You're too beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Keep driving.
All right.
JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. You're going to come. I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say. Whoa.